We are officially unplugged. We are on the record with the one, the only, Stephen A. Smith. Welcome, Stephen A. Smith.
How y'all doing? How's everything?
We're great.
Wonderful.
We're blessed.
Doing great.
Stephen, you are a legend, not only here at ESPN, but also you're in our intro song. Hit that button, Tarika.
Don't think to me about this.
Something is wrong with you.
Hey. That's you. You bring us into our podcast, Stephen A. We appreciate you.
Every week.
Well, I appreciate it. No problem. Happy to do it.
Well, Stephen A., let's just get down to it. Everyone's talking about the Cavs. You know, their new look team, and they just handled the Celtics. And I know we're just one game into this new look Cavaliers team, but do you think this team, as they are constructed, and if they performed at that level against the Celtics that we all saw, do you think that they could compete with the Warriors?
No. It's a very simple answer to that. They're not good enough to beat the Warriors, but they don't have Kevin Love, so we'll see what happens once he gets back. They still, before they even played the game, they were good enough to be considered the favorites in the East, because with the deals that got rid of 6 players and brought back 4 new players, they got younger, they got longer, they got more athletic, they got better defensively, and they're devoid of drama. The guys that come in there that just want to play the game. They're 25 years old, 3 of them: Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Clarkson, Rodney Hood. George Hill is older. It's been the conference finals 2 years in a row. A few years back, going up against LeBron James' Miami Heat squad. He's an experienced point guard that's experienced going up against other guards and defending against them. So as a result of that, it elevates your defense significantly. It elevates your athleticism because you have that length. You saw it give Kyrie problems because George Hill was defending him instead of an Isaiah Thomas or somebody else. And as a result, it proved to be more difficult for them. Those are the kind of things you got to look at. You got to recognize the fact that they benefit from that, which will give them dominion over the East. The West is an entirely different story.
Yeah, that's true. So let's go to the East. I think everyone is talking about the Celtics and the Cavs right now, but the Raptors are number 1 in the East. So can Toronto actually make it happen and win the Eastern Conference?
They can, but we have to see it before we believe it, because they've had great seasons in years past, and then the postseason shows up and they disappear. Kyle Lowry's a really, really good basketball player and an all-star, but at the same time, as he's an undersized point guard, and when you have opportunities to prepare for him in the 7-game series, you know, some games he shows up, some games are more problematic for him than others. The same is applicable to DeMar DeRozan. He wasn't somebody that had a big-time jump shot in the past. He's improved his perimeter shot significantly this season. Whether or not that's going to continue in the playoffs remains to be seen. But they would have to show up in the postseason in order for anybody to really believe in them, because that's been their problem. They always diminish and dissipate and shrink a little bit in the postseason compared to their play in the regular season. That's been their problem.
You're listening to The Plug podcast here at ESPN. We're joined by Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen, it's the Warriors' world, clearly, versus the rest of the league. Is there any chink to their armor? Is there any weakness to Golden State that can allow another team to slide in there and compete?
I personally believe that, and I think it's physicality. I think if you get physical with them and the referees let you play, it's really been proven to disrupt them. They're not the same team when you can muscle them and push them around. If you let them play pretty basketball, movement with the basketball, running on the break, pushing the ball up the court, spreading the floor, all of those different things, they'll eat you alive, because collectively they're the most skilled team in the game. But when you get physical with them, when you sit up there and you go Pat Riley with the New York Knicks, or you go Chuck Daly with the Bad Boy Pistons, not to that extreme, but play some roughhouse basketball, and the referees allow you to play a little bit, that's why you see Golden State leading the league in technicals. That's why you see Draymond having 13 technicals on the season. That's why you hear Steve Kerr lamenting the lack of composure on the part of the team, because he knows that come postseason time, things are going to get amped up. And before folks go home quietly, they ain't going to just go quietly into that good night. Yep. What they're going to do is they're going to attack, and they're going to use whatever they have available to them, and usually it's physicality. And as a result, that frustrates Golden State, because they don't want you to play a physical brand of basketball against them. That is the only thing that I can see that can derail them.
All right, we know it's one thing to beat Golden State in the regular season series, but in May is a totally different story. And the Rockets just picked up another shooter in Joe Johnson. Given Chris Paul and James Harden's playoff history, on a scale of 1 to 10, how sold are you on the Rockets actually beating the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, if in fact that does happen?
About a 2. I give 2 because James Harden and Chris Paul. I give everybody else 1 or less. But I'd give them in Oklahoma City about a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. It's a slim chance, but there's still a chance. In OKC's case, it's because of the physicality that I brought up. In Houston's case, it's because they're the one team that wants to play Golden State's brand of basketball, and they're not fearful of it. They believe that they can outshoot and outgun Golden State. None of us believe that, but they believe they can. And because of that, along with the upgrade in defensive prowess since the arrival of Chris Paul, you can't ignore their chances. They do have a slim chance, and that's it. But it's still a slim chance that's better than almost anybody else in the league has.
So, Stephen A., bringing it back to the Cavs, we saw everyone's hyping up these new-look Cavs, obviously against the Celtics. But plain and simple, is LeBron leaving the Cavs next year?
Is LeBron leaving the Cavs next year? Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Nobody knows. That's up to LeBron. LeBron is he should star in soap operas, not just on a basketball court. He
like
loves
you?
the drama.
Star in them like you?
He loves. Well, listen, I get paid. I get paid for the drama.
Sure does.
He gets paid to play basketball.
Run me my money.
He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to create the drama. He chooses to because he always wants to control the narrative. In the end, we don't know what he's going to do. Chances are he'll stay in Cleveland. But then again, I think the scenario that people have not thought about when it comes to him is what if Cleveland did win the championship? Mm-hmm. If LeBron didn't owe them, it didn't owe the city of Cleveland and the Northeast Ohio area anything before, when he came back and delivered a championship to end a 52-year drought in any professional sport in the city of Cleveland. If he didn't owe them anything since he won that championship, imagine what he does not owe them now.
Yep.
I mean, if he wins the championship this year, there's nothing you can say. If LeBron delivers the championship
again
and then said, "Okay, I'm ready to move on, and I want to explore my horizon and depart again," what can anybody say to him?
Nothing.
That's very true.
He's giving them more than Cleveland sports ever got.
Yeah, what more could you say to him? But I want to ask you about a bond that is fractured. Kevin Garnett, Rajon Rondo, Doc Rivers were all at Paul Pierce's jersey retirement on Sunday, but the one person that was absent was, of course, Ray Allen. Will we ever see a day when that group will ever be under the same roof at the same time again, or is that bond pretty much fractured forever?
It's hard to say. I think that Ray Allen should have been there yesterday. Ray Allen is a friend of, he was cool with Paul Pierce. I understand if he wasn't there for KG or Rondo. Him and Rondo couldn't stand each other when they were playing together. And in the case of him and KG, the moment he decided to depart for Miami, which is considered the nemesis and the heated enemy, no pun intended, the fact that Ray Allen left Boston to go there is an unforgivable sin in the eyes of Kevin Garnett, knowing how he is. And so you can understand that. But Paul Pierce, that's not what his feelings were. He had a problem with Ray Allen in terms of how Ray Allen handled the departure. He thought that Ray Allen could have reached out. He thought that Ray Allen could have handled it differently. But that was it. KG, it don't matter how Ray Allen handled it. The fact that he was willing to leave for that team in Miami, knowing how much they battled Boston, that was just a thorn in KG's side that I don't think he'll ever let go of.
Well, we're on to NBA All-Star this weekend, and you've openly disapproved of the new All-Star format, saying their effort is the issue. So why does that bother you so much, Stephen A.?
Why does what bother me so much exactly? What are you asking?
So you said on First Take that they don't show any effort, they don't play defense, and that's what's really wrong with the All-Star game. It has nothing to do with the format, and that they basically were misguiding the public by saying like the format was the issue, and you kind of exposed that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a complete waste of time. I think they should be ashamed of themselves with the lack of effort that they so flagrantly put forth in recent All-Star games. I'm not talking about the slam dunk contest, the three-point shooting contest, the skills contest, or anything else that takes place Saturday night. I'm talking about that game. You got to understand something. They play harder in summer leagues. They play harder practicing in the summertime than they do All-Star weekend. How can you possibly justify that?
Yeah.
I mean, just think about that for 1 second.
Yeah.
If you can play hard in the summertime, how come you can't in a gym with nothing but y'all? How come you can't play hard at an All-Star game? It don't make any sense. I'm not talking about playing hard to the point of doing what you do during regular season games or postseason games. But my God, give some effort. It's an absolute joke, and I think that it's a shame because it's not football. I don't blame NFL players if they go out there and play flag football. Football is a very, very violent sport.
Yeah.
And I can totally understand that. There's no excuse for that in basketball.
Yeah.
You're playing basketball all year round. You're playing basketball in the summertime. You're playing basketball all over the place. You can show up and play basketball for an All-Star game. You really can.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. I'm not gonna lie to you, Stephen A. I played in an All-Star game and I didn't try hard, so I can't even say.
No defense.
But we ain't getting paid like these dudes are, so I feel like more effort on their end. But as an athlete,
well, again, I'm not talking extreme effort. I'm just saying, just pretend you're trying to engage instead of to play.
Just get low in a defensive stance. Okay?
Yeah, act like it.
Do it for the cameras. But as a pro athlete, it's been interesting, especially being on both sides of the camera. Some teams and some players like Le'Veon Bell, KD, I went to Stanford, Richard Sherman, they've all pretty much challenged you, reacting to your criticism, of which is valid because that's your job to do that. And there are a lot of commentators that say pretty much the same things that you do, but they seem to respond to you the most. How do you navigate that space in your high position within, the company? And how do you see the evolution of that growing?
Well, first of all, who were the names? Le'Veon Bell and who else?
KD, Richard Sherman.
The Trailblazers came for you.
I mean, it shows you how little I think of it because I didn't even remember. Here's the deal.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the deal. I don't exchange Christmas gifts. I don't have Thanksgiving dinner with these dudes. They don't pay my bills. I got mad respect for them and tremendous admiration. They were certainly better than I ever hoped to be. They do their jobs, I do mine. What I pride myself in doing is being a human being and being as fair as I can possibly be. But outside of that, I'm going to be a straight shooter. If you notice, I don't get into dudes' personal lives.
No.
I'm talking about what you do in public, in a public stratosphere. And that's fair game. You're Le'Veon Bell. I'm real cool with Le'Veon. Le'Veon he was in his feelings that day. That's cool. But
we all have those moments.
I was like, look, you're a great player. What the hell you want me to say? You want me to give you a pedicure and a manicure too? I use you as a decoy. That's all that was. He probably laughed about that. That was cool. KD, I still think it was the weakest move that I've ever seen by a superstar, him going to the Golden State Warriors. But that doesn't take away from his greatness as a player or as a person or as a role model. I disagree with that move. I think that is the weakest move a superstar can make. But I love his mama. I love who he is and what he represents and what he means to the league. And I've left that alone. And, anybody else, it is what it is. I got a job to do. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And people know I'm going to bring the rain. That's just who I am.
That is very true.
And I'm not going to change that for anybody. But I do pride myself in being fair and not getting personal and making sure that I take the human situation into consideration. But at the end of the day, I got to call it like I see it. And If you are playing like straight garbage, I can't sit up there and say you're struggling because that doesn't give enough validity or credence to it. And that's just the way that I am.
All right, Stephen A., we're going to switch gears a little bit in honor of the week of Valentine's Day. You have a segment on your radio show. It's a spinoff of the Love Doctor episode from the show Martin. Greatest sitcom of all time, in my opinion.
Amen.
Yeah. So this question is for the Love Doctor. So if you don't mind, if I can speak to the Love Doctor for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
What advice do you have for someone who doesn't have a Valentine this year, but's looking for someone to spend the holiday with?
Love Doctor.
Tinder.
My advice is don't look.
Oh.
Okay.
You never found what you're looking for when you're looking. What you have to do is, chance favors the prepared mind, as Steven Seagal once said, or it was once said in one of Steven Seagal's movies. Chance favors the prepared mind. What I mean by that is very, very simple. You got to be about the business of trying to be the best that you can possibly be. When you strive to be great in anything you choose to do, you don't need to gravitate to stuff. Stuff usually gravitates to you.
Yep.
Okay.
That's how it goes. I remember watching the Chris Rock movie that I made, like a little cameo in. I Think I Love My Wife. And Chris Rock was trying to, he was risking everything, messing around with Kerry Washington. And the boss put him on probation. But before he put him on probation, he says, how much money do you think you bring to this company? And Chris Rock was sitting at a long conference table. And the boss put a little quarter on that table. He said, this is what you bring to this company. And Chris Rock said it was like $20 million, but the company was worth $5 billion. He said, this is what you bring to the table. And then he put him on probation, and he said, there's a whole bunch of men who lost women. He said, who lost money chasing women.
Ew.
There's never been anybody who lost a woman chasing money.
Preach.
Now, that's not just applicable. That's just a phrase. It's not to be taken literal as it pertains to men and women or whatever. It's to just understand that when you're about the business of being great, it's very rare that people don't want to be associated with greatness. If you're focused, if you're ambitious, if you're on your grind, and you're determined to be all you can be in one thing, it usually translates to you being that way about everything. And whether it's a man or a woman, whether you're a woman or a man, you got to understand that when somebody sees you in that mindset, they usually want to be a part of that. And that's how you find the kind of things that you're looking for. Because the kind of things that you pursue and the kind of things that you're after and the kind of things that you achieve when you are striving for success and you are striving for greatness, you usually run across people who are like-minded and appreciate that and want to be of assistance to you in a lot of different capacities. And you end up finding happiness by virtue of doing just that.
The Love Doctor.
Love
said,
Doctor.
right.
Love Train.
Well said,
yes.
well said.
Well, before we let you go, Stephen A., we want to play a game with you. Are you down really quick?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead then.
Tolerating us at this point.
I'm going to go ahead. The game is called Love 'Em or Lose 'Em in honor of Valentine's Day. So we're going to name someone, and you're going to tell us if you love them or you're like, let me lose them. Starting with LeVar Ball.
Lose them.
Ooh.
Lose 'em.
Why lose
Why-
LeVar?
yeah,
I need an explanation. I got love for him, but I don't approve of you pulling kids out of high school and college to make a point. I mean, if they want to leave of their own volition, that's fine. The message that he has sent, I think, along the way has become damaging. I genuinely like him, and I think his heart's in the right place. But I think he's been a bit too extreme, up until recently, and I think that's unfortunate.
How about his son, Lonzo Ball?
Right now, lose him. Maybe one day it'll be love him. But if I got to go by what I've seen thus far, not good enough.
All right, so we just did the number 2 pick in last year's draft. Let's do the number 1 pick, Markelle Fultz.
Oh, hell, lose him.
Oh, man.
That was easy.
That was very easy. Switching to one of the guys in the greatest of all time conversation in sport, Tom Brady.
Love him. He's a winner.
Always.
How about arguably according to Justin, arguably the greatest entertainer of all time, Jamie Foxx, aka Cleveland Smith.
Cleveland Smith.
As much as I want to beat him down for that damn character, the bottom line is I think that Jamie Foxx may be the most talented individual we've seen in Hollywood in the last half century.
Justin.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with that.
When you look at his singing, his acting, along with his comedic ability, there's no denying.
Justin.
There's no denying.
Hey, look, he said what he said. He's the new Sammy Davis Jr. What you want me to say? I agree with him.
All right, love him or lose him, Kevin Hart, irresponsible.
Love him. Even though he's irresponsible with all that he's been through over the last couple of years or so, he keeps grinding. He keeps his head down. His work ethic is unquestionable. His commitment to excellence is unquestionable. You know, certainly that's not a good look how he was acting at the Super Bowl, but he was excited as a Philadelphian, as a Philadelphia fan. It's forgivable. In the end, he makes us laugh, and he helps cleanse our souls to some degree, because no matter what's going on in our lives, when you run across Kevin Hart, you're going to walk away laughing about something, and we owe him a debt of gratitude for that. Everybody can't do that, but he does it, and he never stops.
All right. He's the franchise player of his team, but they're winning without him. John Wall.
Can I say neither?
Oh, okay.
I don't love him because I think that he could do better as a leader, but I don't want to lose him either, because that brother can play. I believe in him, but he's got to step up and produce. He's got to do better. He's got to do more.
All right, last but not least, The Plug Podcast.
Yeah.
Love him or lose him?
Well, we'll go with love him. So far, so good.
There was a pause there for a second.
I sent a little tough love. I sent a little tough love, but we'll accept it.
Kayla knows me. I don't give out compliments too often.
He doesn't.
I do what I do. I mean, it's nice. I'm very, very proud of y'all. I want y'all to keep up the hard work, but y'all are just getting started.
Yes,
Amen.
sir.
Yeah.
So I can compliment you on what you're doing, but it don't mean anything unless you keep doing it.
We'll
keep
keep
elevating.
going
right.
for sure.
True.
And on that moment, we're going to drop the mic. Thank you, Stephen A. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you,
All
brother.
right, y'all take care.
Thank you.
All right.